All right. Okay. This is Dr. Kathleen Kaiser. I am opening the school board meeting for tonight, August the 24th, excuse me. And we will go to closed session until 6 o'clock. And we'll come back then to open. So see you then. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Wrap. Calling this session of the Chico Unified School Board into session. We have been in closed session. There is nothing to announce from closed session. And so with that, we will move to the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I also have a civility statement to read at the start of the board meetings. And there has been actually a new law passed by the governor in regards to the climate of public board meetings. The governing board recognizes the role that civility plays in creating a safe and positive school climate and enabling a focus on student well-being, learning, and achievement. Civil behavior is polite, courteous, and reasonable behavior, which is respectful to others and includes integrity, honesty, acceptance, dependability, the observance of laws and rules, and effective communication. The board expects civil behavior in the use of district electronic, digital systems and platforms on district grounds and facilities, as well as at district events, including school board meetings. Students, staff, parents, guardians, and community members shall participate in district activities, including school board meetings, in a civil manner. So I thank you for your attention to that. And with that, we are going to turn to student reports.
Well, school is back in and our high schools are hopping. We wanted to hear directly from both Pleasant Valley High School and Chico High School. So, Mr. Shepherd, do you want me to just go ahead and have them come on up? All right. We are going to start with Pleasant Valley High School. And is Mrs. Volk here? I don't see her.
She's not.
Okay.
Can we go? Hi, I'm Allie Williams. I'm a student at Pleasant Valley,
I'm Jackson Blakely. I'm also a student at Pleasant Valley.
and we came to talk about Link Crew. So basically, Link Crew is an incredible 3-day for our seniors and juniors where we train and learn how to work with freshmen, and then the freshmen come on a Friday right before school starts, and we have an amazing rally with them. We start off in small groups, and it's just an amazing way to create unity with our upperclassmen and lowerclassmen.
Yeah, it's really great. I've created already so many bonds and friendships with the freshmen already. We kind of introduced them to the high school way, Pleasant Valley way, get them in groups. I've had plenty of freshmen that I've had in my groups came out to me and just kind of talked to, and it's really great. It's a great introduction for the new incoming freshmen.
Yeah, and with that being said, you go in thinking, oh, these are just some freshmen, like no big deal, and then you come out with them being your like little best friend, and then you see them in the hallway, you give them a high five, or you ask, hey, do you want me to bring you off campus lunch? And it creates a beautiful like circle in a way, because my freshman year I had amazing Link Crew leaders, and I was like, I want to do that one year. So with that, we wanted to create that this year, and I really hope we did, and I hope freshmen will do that their junior and senior year as well.
All right.
Yeah.
And you thought enough to wear white and blue.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of worked out perfect.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Do you have any questions for our students?
I already nailed mine.
Okay, then we're going to invite up Chico High. Thank you, PB.
Oh, you're just aiming for trouble, dude.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. My name's Dylan. I'm the athletic commissioner for Chico High ASB. And I'm here to tell you guys about our before school activities this year, what we've done over the summer. So we got started pretty early in summer. We had our joint summer retreat with PV's ASB, where we had a trainer come in and we learned what it meant to be a leader, what it meant to be a good leader at that too. And we got to know each other, really. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We did that for 2 days, and we took that right into our work days the following weeks. I think we had probably around 6 or so work days before that. We're getting ready for the incoming freshmen, link crew training, all of the above. We got posters done for our first week of school activities. Ms. Bishop really helped us get into the routine of things. It was great. And we made a lot of new friends during those 2 weeks too. And we really got to see who was good at what, and everyone really just fell into place and we got working. So the week before school started, we started off with link crew training. We had not just ASB members, but members from all throughout the school, primarily juniors and seniors, come in, and we got to once again, we learned about what it meant to be a good role model for these freshmen, to get them excited for high school, get them ready to be a Panther. And at that, we really learned that, hey, when we get these freshmen here, we need to make them excited for high school, make them feel hey, we're not coming into an alien environment. We're coming into a place where people really care about us. People want to get to know us. They want to care about they want to know who we are. We're not just another freshman. We are a person. Yeah. So that Friday, after today's link crew training, we did our freshman orientation. And we started off with a gauntlet with music playing, dance party. Should have seen it. It was Dance Party USA. You've never seen anything like it before. We got approximately 98% of our teachers and staff to show up for this gauntlet. So freshmen started off seeing friendly faces, the faces of people they're going to be with for the next 4 years. Through this orientation, we did PV. We broke into small groups, played games with them, really taught them important lessons about high school. Stay on top of things. Don't let one bad thing hold you down.
Right.
We finished that off with a barbecue, which was put on by 4 or so teachers. They barbecued for the freshmen and for us. So
all right.
Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Brooke, and before we wrap this all up, I'm gonna talk about exciting traditions that we have really fast, so you guys just know a little bit more about Chico High. I am also our ASB Vice President at Chico. One really cool thing about Link Crew that we continue throughout the whole entire school year is that not only are they our freshmen in our Link Crew group, but they become our friends. And so this one freshman, her name's Addison, her and I see each other on campus all the time, and we just knuckle boom every time we see each other, which sounds really childish and hilarious, but it's so much fun, and it really helps the students feel included, and it shows that all grade levels can be friends with one another, and that's a huge thing for us at Chico High. Along with making freshmen feel welcomed, we also had our senior sunrise. We chalked parking lot spots, which was really fun. And our band also helps us all feel really welcomed because our band is a huge thing at our school. They play every Friday. Our football team sings the alma mater. And it's really fun because there's all ages in the band and all ages on football teams. And it really just helps our school feel included and inclusive for all grades and people. And it just has been really fun meeting all new people as a senior, and this year has just been so fun so far. So,
All right.
Hi, my name is Summer Sun. I'm a student at Chico High School, and I'm also the ASB president this year. So I'm just going to wrap this all up with talking about upcoming events. So next week is back to school night, which is super exciting because the parents come, and it's a really great way for the Panther family to start coming in with the parents. And so I think it's a great way for parents to get acclimated and know that their kids aren't just the only Panthers. Also, next Wednesday, we have Clubs on the Quad, which is where our amazing clubs on our campus come, and they set up a table, and it's a great way for freshmen to see the amazing, over 30 clubs that we have on campus. We also have our first football game next week, and for our first freshman football game, the freshmen get in free because we really want them to know that Chico High is a safe place for them and that they can come out and have a good time with their friends. And then after that, we have homecoming, which is super exciting because we really want to focus on the alumni and the importance that past Chico hires have to our amazing school. So that's it. Thank you.
Is your mom a Chico State faculty member?
Yes, she
Okay.
teaches physics. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And why are you sporting 50 on your chest, young man?
It's the Almond Bowl shirt for last year that
Ah.
we had designed. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have all the scores and like who won, who lost.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty cool design.
Yeah. So we get to actually have the Almond Bowl this year, correct?
Yes, we
Yes.
did.
All right, all right.
Actually, we just had like the opening ceremony for the car raffle, so we came from that.
Yeah,
Oh,
hence
very
the
good.
glitter on my face. So,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'll be happier when one of you guarantee me I win the car, which
I do want to,
keeps escaping me every year.
Miss
Talk to
Bishop.
Miss Bishop.
Yeah, she knows all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
I do
All
want
right.
to introduce Kathleen Bishop. She is their activities director. Kathleen, thank you for being here. Both Pleasant Valley and Chico High, thank you so much for all you do for the school climate at our schools. And wow, we are in great hands in the future. These are our leaders on the school site. Mr. Tennis.
I have a comment, Madam President. I have a student who's going to Chico High for the first time this year, my first child who's going to high school, and I want to say you guys must just have incredible personal bandwidth to be able to take this on, transitioning these young kids into that environment. You know, when I was going through Chico High, if that was happening then, I don't remember it. You know, it was kind of like, hey, you're on your own, man. And the fact that they're not is really neat, so thank you.
So that's a parent, thank you.
All right,
right.
thank you, guys. You can stay if you want, or you can
You can
hit the
run.
road.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so now we move to the superintendent's report and recognition.
And I'd like to ask Dr. Kaiser to join me. So as I know the board already knows, we have an incredibly fabulous information technology or IT department. They, especially during the pandemic, worked miracles every single day. But prior to that, they were already way ahead of the curve, which is what allowed us to survive during the pandemic, you know, without, of course there were issues, but we had technology ready to go. So I do want to ask everyone here that works in the IT department to stand up. This is just an amazing department, and Mr. John Vincent leads that department, and they are just, we would not be able to do the things that we do if it were not for them. So again, thank you to all of them. Tonight is a little more specific. We will be honoring the IT department throughout the year, and we're going to kick that off tonight with honoring the individuals that actually do the work for the board to make sure that everything is set up for your board meetings, that it is live streamed so that our community can watch. And as I got to find out a few meetings ago, all the work that goes into taking it back down and storing it away. So we would like to honor a few people, and I'm going to ask Dr. Kaiser to help me, and maybe Mr. Marchant can help as well with the. So I'm going to start with Mr. Patrick Bassetti.
All right, Patrick.
I know he's here. Come on down. Yeah. Not officially a part of the IT department, but definitely gets all the facilities set up and ready to go, Mr. Phil Morgan.
All right, Phil.
Zach Van Rokel.
And Zach, here you.
Tyler Ward. Oh, that's right. He's a brand new dad. Priorities. Brand new dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is not here tonight. He's in a much more important spot.
That's right.
John Vincent, who leads the department.
Come on, John. No, this one is good.
And Brandon Morgan.
All right, Brandon. Thank you.
Did I forget anybody? Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Kelly, I'm going to talk over your presentation, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Patrick, in addition to sitting back here and keeping us all being heard, shows up out front to help put my electric cart together and take it back down and put it back in my car at the end of a meeting. And I couldn't be here without him.
I just again want to thank our IT department. You guys are fabulous, and you really keep us rolling. So thank you very much, and that concludes my report. And you guys also do not have to stay, but we'd love it if you do want to.
Without you guys, we don't have live mics, so you know.
The moment you leave, something is going to break. You know this, right?
Thank you, guys. All right. So, announcements.
I have one. My son, Kip Tennis, is kind of a rich history with Chico Unified School District, kind of a phenomenon in parking lots from time to time. But he is 11 tonight, so I want to give a shout out to my son, Kip. Congratulations on a happy 11th birthday.
And Dad is here, so thank you.
Okay, birthday Kip. All right. Okay, any other announcements? All right. So items from the floor. I have one speaker, Elaine Ward.
Imagine, it's the first day of school. You drop your child off at the gate because they want to be a big kid and walk to class by themselves. But as you're pulling away, your parental instincts kick in. Something is wrong. After 45 minutes of trying to reach the school, someone finally answers and tells you, student doesn't go here anymore. You rush to campus, where the principal informs you they tried calling you for 3 weeks over the summer to inform you of the change, yet you have no missed calls, nor have you changed your phone number. You ask why you weren't contacted via email, and you're told, we don't do that. When you ask who made this change, you're told you did. When you did, no such thing. No addendum meeting was held to discuss the new placement of your child at a new school, nor was the proper placement put in place with the proper support, nor was your child placed in the proper classroom setting. How would you feel? If you're wondering, no, this didn't happen to me, but to a parent in our local support group. One would hope, as they attempted to resolve the situation, the principal would have felt it needed immediate attention and would have accepted fault in the situation. But this principal didn't. Instead, this parent was made to feel that this situation was their fault, and they were gaslit. They were made to feel less than, and simply told, I guess I can put him in a class today. How is this admin supporting this parent in a very difficult situation? How is this admin making themselves approachable in the future? How is this admin building a working relationship with this parent regarding the future success, the future long-term success of their child? I'll tell you how. They're not. 2 days later, this parent received an email from the principal saying how much they loved this student and how much of a gem they were. But where was the love for this student when this incident happened? And most importantly, where was the apology to this parent for the principal's extremely unprofessional behavior in handling the situation? Some could argue it was the first day of school and there was probably a lot going on. No. This is a prime example of the lack of support we as SPED parents receive from school site principals. Being stressed doesn't excuse unprofessional behavior. Being stressed isn't a reason to blame a parent for something they did not do. Luckily, this parent had a supportive network of parents who rallied behind them and gave them next step actions. But I ask you, what is happening to those parents that do not have a supportive network? How are they being treated? Behavior like this from school site admins needs to be stopped. It needs to be addressed. And I assure you that as these situations continue to happen, I will continue to bring them to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That's the only person who submitted a speaker card. So with that, we will move to the consent calendar. And our last board member is arriving. So is there anyone who wishes to pull an item from the consent calendar? An item from this consent calendar, anyone? All right, seeing no one, then may I have a motion?
I move the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Tennis
I'll second.
and seconded by Tom Lando. And any other discussion? All right, then we will do a voice vote.
Robinson, I.
Lando, aye.
Kaiser, aye.
Dolby, aye.
Tennis, aye.
Okay, 5-0, thank you. With that, we move to the discussion action calendar and opening day updates for the 22-23 school year. Jay Mashar.
Thank you, Dr. Kaiser. As we do every year, we just like to kind of go how our first week of school went and what things are going on our campus. So I'm going to go over a quick slideshow. If we get it pulled up, there we go. And I'm going to see if my clicker works. So again, the 2022-23 school year update. Things I'll be talking about: summer programs, staffing, professional development, enrollment, facilities and management, co- and extracurricular participation, and technology. Summer programs, these are things that happen over the summer, not the first week of school, but we just wanted to give you a quick update. We had 398 secondary students go to credit recovery and earn credits. We had 2 different summer sessions for TK through 5. The one in June, we had 3 weeks. We had 744 kids attend. The 1 week, one in August, we had 407 kids attend. We also do a K boot camp for families who want to get their kids into a kind of a what it's going to look like when they walk in. We have 13 kindergartners show up for that. We also had our extended school year ESY for our special ed students. We had 328 students attend that. And then we also had, this year, for the first time, was a junior high early back. So we had students come in at the different school sites for that. That was 105 kids showed up. So we had a pretty successful summer session this year, and we continue to, we have a grant, ELAP grant that we will be using, Ms. Keene tells me, for the future summer. So we're excited to continue to be able to do that. Yes, Caitlin?
Do you have the number of total unique students for the summer? I'm sure there's a little bit of overlap in those numbers. I was just curious if we knew that.
You mean like student groups or?
Just how many students were reached this summer?
Oh, how many total? Well, I can only just tell you what those are the numbers at each one. I couldn't tell you like how many different ones went to one versus to another.
I was just wondering if we had the CUSD saw this many students this summer for, our different summer programs.
Oh.
Just curious if we had that
4, 12.
specific number.
I would have to do, I would just add it up in my head.
No, because there's overlap, so.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I do not.
I did get good feedback about the early back for junior high.
Thank you. Just go over staffing, certificated staff. We had 70 new hires this year that could anywhere between elementary, junior high, high school, special ed staff. So we hired 70 new certificated staff this year. And then classified staff, we had 45 from May 30th to July 1. That's the number that I was given from classified, that we hired 45 new staff members during that time period. A lot of professional development going on. There was a group that went to the MTSS conference this summer. We had different types of curriculum training. We had also just some individual ones. We had our new teacher orientation. So I believe we had 68 of our 70 new teachers show up for the new teacher training. We also had a special education new teacher training first on August 9th, and then all teachers showed up on the 10th. We had, again, a very good showing for that. We had our professional development for all of our teachers that we had on August 11th. It was a good showing. We brought in Obeo to do training for all of our teachers, one for Tier 1 instruction, and then Obeo also worked with our secondary teachers to go over the block schedule and the things that they could be doing on their campuses for that. We also
Mr.
had,
Marchand?
sorry.
Could you give me the meaning of the initials for ABEO? It's very descriptive.
Actually, it's not an acronym. So it's just a name that they came up with for their company, and I know this only because I asked the exact same question. I thought it was an acronym, and it's not.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
One that I did skip over, and which was a very big day for, we have a leadership advance where all of our leadership, our principals and psychologists show up. We had a Dr. Greenfield come in to do equity work with us. And we will be most likely, he'll be doing more training for all of our leadership throughout the school year. And then we hope to bring him in for our teachers next year. It was a very positive day. We had a very good positive from our staff saying it was a good thing for Dr. Greenfield to come in. So it was a very good day for us. Some of the things that we also did, we did some behavior support training for our instructional paraprofessional and campus supervisors. So that's one of the things that we heard in our LCAP meeting from our special ed parents, that they're asking for more training for our aides. And so they came in, our behaviorists came in and did a training for them. And then also our administration asked if our campus supervisors could go to those also. So they did, we had a good number of our campus supervisors show up for that. And another one for transportation this year, we did a neutral heart approach training for our bus drivers, and we had a very high showing for that, which was a great day for our bus drivers because they were excited to come and they got some very good training on how to do different strategies for their students on the bus. Enrollment, we're just kind of giving you a 10-year snapshot. As of today, our enrollment was 12,175. It will continue to fluctuate as our registrars, our attendance clerks, and our office managers find out that students that have not showed up yet, if they're going to be showing up or not. So that trend, usually we wait until right after Labor Day weekend to really kind of figure out what our enrollment one's going to be. But right now, it's the highest enrollment that we had for this day in the past 10 years. But again, we have some work to do because we have some new office managers on different sites that are still working with figuring out how many students we do have on our campuses. So we'll have a more realistic number usually right after Labor Day. Facilities and maintenance. McManus will be getting started up this spring. Julie did, I talked to Julie Kissel today. She said most likely after the bids will go out that we're hoping to start in the spring of this year on McManus. And they're hoping for the summer of 2025 that campus will be completed. That's our goal coming in from facilities. Extra co and extracurricular. Again, we heard some of the great things that Link Crew was doing at our high schools for incoming ninth graders. We also do that for incoming sixth graders. It's called Web, where everyone belongs. And again, that was very successful in all three of our junior highs. And then right now in our fall athletics, we have an estimate of about 1,100 total students participating in high school and middle school athletics to start the school year. Technology, John Vincent and his team, today, which we were highlighting today, they've done a great job. They rolled out new Chromebooks for second graders, sixth graders, and ninth graders this year. Again, we go on 4-year cycles for those Chromebooks. And so this year was second grade, sixth grade, and ninth grade. So approximately 4,000 Chromebooks, new ones went out this year. And then we also, one of the things that we heard that we wanted to do in one of our workshops was to do more Go Guardian training. So John Vincent and his crew and Tim Karras did a training for all of our teachers on the 11th. So all of our teachers got training on Go Guardian and all the updates onto that so they can better utilize, because as we found in our workshop, a lot of our teachers didn't understand the new things that Go Guardian can do or weren't using them. So we wanted to show them all the different things that Go Guardian could do for them in their classroom.
So what form did that training take?
So all of them were in different grade levels or their departments. And so I'll just kind of talked about since they led the training. They're racing up there to see who's going to talk first.
Yes, so it was an all-district training for all of our staff. So we had a TV with a demonstration of Go Guardian. We had, how many? 6 students, I think, that were logged into our Go Guardian session.
We had services directors along with Jay and Kelly.
So you'd like to know Kelly was on task. The others might not have been. So we used Go Guardian to to bring them back to being on task. So we showed our teachers how they could use GoGuardian to view what all the kids were doing, how to close down tabs, how to lock all the Chromebooks, those basic things that really make it so that they can manage those devices in their classrooms.
And they were at home watching this?
They were in
online?
classrooms over at PV, so they were in all the different classrooms.
They
So
actually were physically there in classrooms, and it was like mandatory, and they had to be there. And
Yes.
Wow.
It was
okay.
mandatory, and we had admin overseeing the different classrooms.
Well, for all of them who are glued to this board meeting right now, I want to say thank you for doing that, because it's important to me as a parent, you know. One of the hardest things is when we look on securely, right? And if we happen to see that our kids were, you know, messing around, wasting time during class, you know, or looking at things that have nothing to do with what they're supposed to be doing, you know, just generally wasting time. It's frustrating. So teachers knowing how to work with that GoGuardian system and monitor that is very, very much appreciated. So thank you to anyone who participated in that or put it on.
And I'll say we did have a slight influx in help desk tickets coming into IT for GoGuardian help following that training, and anecdotally, there was positive feedback about ease of use.
For some reason, the student named Jay was looking up hotel rooms at the Venetian during class time, so I don't know how that came about, but thank you for that. All right. All right, so that was kind of a nutshell of our summer and our first week. Any questions for any of Ed Services? We can help you. We'll be obviously giving you constant updates for what our enrollment looks like. Mr. Karras has told me that he will be sending those out daily. And then we will be giving you updates as the school year goes on how things are going on our campus.
Jay, you had a picture of the facilities and maintenance for PV's Culinary Arts, but you didn't mention it.
Yeah, it was just one of the, again, we talked about that briefly because PV started their block schedule this year. First of all, we were talking about how Sierra Nevada believes that's one of the best kitchens in Northern California, period, even for restaurants. But we can tell you the number of sections, I think they pretty much doubled or almost tripled the number of sections of kids that are taking culinary. Now, one, because of the block schedule, and two, because of the facility. And we hired another teacher that we stole from, I believe, the Yuba City area. And then, one, finding another culinary arts teacher, it was a great thing because Priscilla's going to be retiring, I don't know, we hope in the next 10 years. She says less than that, but we keep hanging on to her. But it's nice to find another one to add, just because we had so many sections that added too.
Absolutely. All right, thank you for that. Okay. So, the 2022 Local Control Accountability Plan revisions. Tim, you're going to speak to that, or Dina? Okay.
Yeah, we'll both be here tonight to speak to this. Good evening, and a happy birthday to Mr. Kipp. I know him to be a very polite young man, so please give him my best birthday wishes. As is very often, we have a couple of little edits that come with our LCAP from the county after adoption. And we've added those. I have it here printed out and marked if you want to take a look at that. But they're pretty simple. One specifically came from the county for Goal 1 under 1.7 specifically to make sure that we include students with disabilities in a description for that goal. So that was very easy to put in there and much appreciated.
Okay.
Tim, want to talk about the other two?
Yeah, the other two were data related. The first one was suspension rate. The suspension rate originally put in the LCAP brought to the board in June was lower than the true end of year suspension rate. That is due to a clerical error that cut off counting suspensions in early May.
Oh.
And it's not to say that we had a ton of great increase in suspensions at the end of May, but also what happens at the end of the year is administrators are cleaning up their discipline records to ensure all the necessary codes are present in the records to allow us to query them. So there's two things going on there. So that was a clerical error. We thought it was important to bring what we knew as the correct data to the board and call your attention to it. The other two are related to survey data, and the student surveys that we gave last year was the first run of them. And we had, large teams of counselors working on them, and being that it was our first run of them, we mistakenly included a neutral category. And we believed that the inclusion of that neutral category has been deleted, and we believe that the data was falsely representing the results because neutral results were not included. The data is now, it's documented that the neutral responses are included, so it's positive and neutral that are included in those counts. And we thought that was a truer representation, although imperfect, as perfect as we could get given the answer choices.
My own going through the data has been that I think a lot of times the percentages without the number, the in number, would, if someone wasn't very sophisticated with the stats, they might misjudge them. So I think it's, well, as a mathematician, I think it's much better if the in is there, so then we know.
Yeah, I think we talked about that back in June and will be included.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Eileen?
Thank you, Dr. Kaiser. I'm interested in seeing a pie chart or something that reflects what happened when you took that neutral response out. Is it in the attachment?
It's not, but we can certainly provide that to the board.
Would you please?
Absolutely, yeah.
Forward it with an explanation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have the statistical brain that Dr. Kaiser does.
Matt?
I just want to say I appreciate the integrity on the part of the district. I think going back and, if we painted a picture that was slightly rosy in the original LCAP and we're coming back to say, nope, it's not quite as rosy as we had said, here's the real data, I appreciate that.
So my other thing is, we need to get the magic super glue answer to math.
Can you explain that in a little more depth, please?
We score lower on math in every area than we do on English, and it's all of our groups. So I see that as important as English language, and we have made a lot of strides on that, but our math is still kind of hitting all the bumps in the road, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. And that was going back to the, I believe it was the 1920 school year when we really started looking at earnest in the progression of students through the math courses and where students dropped off. And like a lot of things, was put on the back burner during COVID. We picked that conversation back up with math via the DLC. We now have universal screeners going up through grade level 9th grade math, which is IM1. The high schools are working on systematizing their academic success courses to better meet those needs of students based on those universal screener results. In addition, we've added a diagnostic system that allows teachers to measure what students know or don't on the course content as they start the school year. And that is given from 6th grade all the way up through IM3 beginning this year. So of course, giving an assessment is not enough. It's the analyzing and the reacting to the data that we'll be working on and continue to have math as a focal point of discussion.
We have some really, really impressive CTE courses connecting with the high school, Butte, and admissible to Chico State even. So I hate to see people falling off just because, nobody was looking and reaching out a hand.
Yeah, and another thing of note is both high schools have taken a new look at the progression of students through especially Math C and IM1, and looking for the best ways to support those kids that are struggling making that leap, because that's where we've seen it in the data where the leap is the hardest.
Okay, thank you.
And additionally, I just want to add real quickly that it's the goal of our MTSS program to see where this data lands us. And with a person on each site and DLC working in conjunction with the staffs, that's a really good way to make sure that we're not falling through the cracks. So I'm excited to see that continue forward too with the support of the MTSS crew.
And I
All
can
right.
also tell you, Dr. Kaiser, on the August 11th day, elementary teachers, it was a big portion of their professional development day that they were working on math. Is that correct?
We hired several teachers to come back through and really reorganize our scope and sequence for Ready Classroom Math, and did a significant retooling of it. So it's just much cleaner, crisper. We adjusted some of our assessments also. We're aligned much more with like FIEBs, IEBs with some of those things rather than just some district level ones with those things. Put a bunch of supplementary materials with it. We have trainings with our publishers coming up also. So we've had the same angst that you're expressing with it also, and our DLC group has really put a lot of effort into revising things and having it ready to go this year.
Great, thank you. Eileen?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kaiser. Has the State Department of Education delaying the math
Framework?
yeah. Thank you, framework. That was the word I was looking for. Is that going to have any impact on us, or are we independently moving forward like we did with the creation of our math pathways here a few years ago?
Oh, go ahead. My short answer to that is we are moving forward. Like I said before, this is not a new question for us.
Yeah.
And we are moving forward with, some of the things that Ted and I talked about today. And in addition, what I want to say is when you look at math scores, one of the big drop-offs is 5th to 6th grade.
Yeah.
And we have worked to get diagnostic tests for Math A, which is the 6th grade math, in the hands of 5th grade teachers, so that they understand what it truly means to be ready for Math A. And we started that with the pilot last spring.
So, in your question, absolutely. By not having a framework fully approved yet, the textbook publishers kind of wait for that to be done. They write accordingly, so then that becomes what we can be adopting a couple years down the line. So it's kind of this domino chain that we've been kind of, this sounds horrible, but twiddling our thumbs waiting until a connected adoption comes out. So it absolutely makes it harder with not having that framework in place like that.
Ted, why would that matter?
Because publishers want to wait and see what's in the framework before they start putting math curriculum together to match up to what's in that framework.
And
for
so
it.
the old curriculum is
It's
so
not-
inferior that,
It's not bad, but it's just not nearly as crisply aligned to kind of what they're going to be tested on with state testing with some of those kinds of things.
thank you.
I think you're excused.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. And Tina. All right, with that, we move to the dual enrollment agreement for Chico High and PV. And I already made a reference to that, and there's John.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kaiser. So this is a request for approval of the appendices to the agreement that was voted upon last year. Each year we'll be bringing to you, we hope, a growing number of dual enrollment opportunities from our high schools. So this year, both appendices together, we have 12 courses that we'd like you to approve. We're excited about these opportunities for our kids, going back to your comments about CTE completers and those kinds of things. So we'll be hopefully bringing this back to you each year. In addition to these 12, we're hoping to develop some partnerships with four-year universities, such as Southern Oregon has reached out to us. So another opportunity.
I personally was very impressed with the courses. I was a little surprised to see that some of them were identified as non-transferable, but they appeared to be interactive in a lab kind of a setting, so.
Yes, and then to keep in mind too, that while they may not be transferable to a 4-year, some of these courses are a component of a 2-year certificated pathway. So for example, an LVN pathway or a master welder pathway. So they won't be transferable, but they'll lead to degrees.
I was just impressed with the scale and the scope of the courses.
Thanks.
All right, any questions, any comments? Okay, well then may I have a motion?
Sure, I'll move approval of the dual enrollment agreement.
I'll second that
Okay,
motion.
so we have Tom Lando and Eileen as the seconder. All right, any further discussion? Okay, so we can have just a voice vote on this. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, passes 5-0. So that's great. Thank you, John. Okay, so I think we have Maria.
She's hiding. Here she is.
Good evening. Tonight I am here to present a couple items. The first item is 9.21, informational, update on the relocatable classroom building at Parkview Elementary. On June 22nd, 2022, the Board of Education approved Resolution Number 1585-22, authorizing emergency relocation of a portable building to Parkview Elementary. Per the resolution, it is our duty to update the board at every board meeting until the project is complete. The current report is the classroom has been put in place, remodeled, and ready to serve our students. As you may remember, this project was started construction pre-DSA approval. As of yesterday afternoon, we received DSA approval for the construction of this project.
Yay.
We have a couple items that DSA has asked us to bring up to code or up to date, and one of them is school lighting, emergency ADA lighting from the classroom to the parking lot. The other item that is pending is the ADA ramps. Those are long lead items. We have temporary ramps installed for the moment. We expect those within a couple months.
Will they not approve it until the permanent ones show up?
It's approved.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is going to be kindergartners in this building, right?
We have kindergartens in this building and a new staff member to Parkview.
I'm going to horn in, for I was over there today actually visiting the classroom to look. It looks fabulous. It's just a beautiful space, very inviting. So they did a great job getting everything right in a short time.
All right,
Yeah.
great, thank you. So this is just informational?
Yep.
Okay. I want to give some information too, for those of you who don't know, that Julie Kissel was pretty severely injured in a bicycle accident, and she has had surgery and is in recovery, but right now she's taking a well-deserved break, so.
Maria's stepping in very nicely.
Yes, she is.
Thank you. Okay. The following item is item 9.2.2, Charter School Measure K project request. As stated in the Measure K bond language, Part 3, the 8 charter schools located within the Chico Unified School District boundary are to receive 15.34% of Measure K bond funds. The Charter School Committee has brought this project for your review and approval. Location, Forest Ranch School, blacktop repair. There are asphalt areas in the rear of the school containing basketball courts, handball courts, etc. There are several cracks and ruptures in the present asphalt with weeds growing out of them, resulting in several safety issues, etc. came out of the report. So this re-asphalt, cracked, and fracture blacktop correction and repairs, estimated amount cost is $7,750.
All right, so we would need a motion on that, correct?
Correct.
All right. May I have a motion?
Is there any public comment?
Oh, is there public comment?
I have a
Right.
question. Should I ask it now or
Yeah,
after
you
the
can
motion?
ask it now.
Has our maintenance staff or does our maintenance staff routinely check on something like this to corroborate, the claims about the condition of the parking lot up there? The Eric Germans of the world, have
Yeah.
they looked at this and?
So within our schools, within our Chico Unified School District, yes, they routinely maintain and oversee all of our sites. Being that this is a charter school, Jacqueline, would you please?
Yeah, so part of the facility use agreement is that they maintain the facilities, essentially. We'll do the exterior of the physical buildings, but they have to maintain everything inside, and that includes the grounds. So in the request that's attached to the agenda item, there are pictures that substantiate the cracks that we're looking at. So I don't know if it's Zach or Phil, if you could bring that up.
In addition, with routine maintenance on asphalt, blacktops, courts, et cetera, with wear and tear and use and years of use and service, this type of maintenance is common.
Yeah, it's page 4 of the PDF there.
Oh, pretty bad.
So it is pretty substantial, and as Maria spoke to, you can see the grass on the top picture that is growing in those cracks.
Yeah, some of these cracks were 3.5 to 4 inches wide, potentially being a tripping hazard.
Yes. And again, these Measure K project requests go through the charter group review.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve this item.
Okay?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so motion by Matt, second by Eileen. Any further discussion?
I have a couple of clarification questions, just
Okay.
to triple check and put on the record. We still own the facilities, right? So, yeah, so, okay. And this is well within their remaining Measure K allocation, so, yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, we have to take a vote.
You have to stand right there, and the vote doesn't work.
Yeah, don't run away to the vote. Okay, again, we can do a voice vote here, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes 5-0. All right. Okay, now you're off. Okay, Jacqueline, you're up.
Yeah, so the next item is informational. It is related to a 45-day budget update. So Ed Code 42-127 basically says that after the state budget is signed, sealed, delivered, if you will, if there are material changes in the actual legislative language compared to what the assumptions were that you generated your budget on in May and June, you're to take it back to the public at a regularly scheduled board meeting to provide those additions. So Zach, would you mind bringing up the PDF that's attached to the agenda item, please? So I will say the template has a lot of numbers on it. This is the template that we're required to use per Butte County Office of Education. Really, the important piece here is the change column, which is the third set of group of numbers. So you'll see the single largest change is that very top line. There's $14 million more coming in our local control funding formula. That's largely due to the 12.84% increase to base. It does also include, inclusive of that 14 million is 386,000 related to additional funding for our TK ADA. So that we are getting an extra set of dollars to accommodate the fact that we now have a 24-to-2 staffing ratio in those classrooms. Additionally, on the unrestricted side, you'll see there's 1.1 million additional funding in other state revenue. and that is related to our transportation. So there is legislation that was passed that said we'll now be funded on 60% of our transportation expenditures, so not fully funded, but we'll take 60%. So that is above and beyond the 600,000 that we already received, so we'll get an additional 1.1 million for that.
And I want to give a shout out to our transportation because we have buses and drivers when others do not.
Do not.
Yes,
And
it's great to see the
John
drivers.
Carter, big cheer.
Yes.
And Dr. Kaiser, I'd also like to give a shout out to California School Boards Association that lobbied very heavily to get this transportation stuff worked into the legislation and get it passed and on to the governor.
Yes. So on the restricted side, you'll see a very large number there, 22 million, 22.7 million with corresponding expenditures. So that's 3 pots of money. There's 2 pots that are one-time in nature. So there's 7.4 million for the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, as well as 14 million for Learning Recovery Block Grant. So basically 21 million of that is one-time money, and then we'll have an additional 1.1 million for our ELOP program, Expanded Learning Opportunity Program, which funds our after-school program and our summer academies as well. So this is just the revenue side because that's really what's impacted by the approval of the state budget. Expenditures are on the district side. So I'll be back with my team in December for our first interim budget revision for the current year, which will have the closeout from the 21-22 school year, as well as adjusted assumptions and staffing for the current year. Is there any questions?
It's nice to be looking at green instead of red.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, Mr. Hanlon, I think you're up.
So David Cole and I are going to tag team this. So we've had a lot of press interested in staffing shortages that are in the national news. It's not just hitting Chico, it's across the nation and state and all over the place. So we wanted to kind of give you a snapshot of where we are and how we're handling it here in Chico Unified. The stories are a little bit different between certificated and classified. So David Cole is going to go over the classified piece of that after I do the certificated. So let's go ahead and click that. So just to give you a little idea, there you go. We have about 798 certificated staff, 711 classified. You can see there's 1,044 positions, but that means we have many classified staff that have more than one position. 171 classified exempt positions and 73 administrators. So it gives you an idea of where we're at when we're talking. And these are just the different kinds of certificated staff that we have in the district. Includes all of those folks. So over the summer, it's a little easier with certificated. Pretty much resignations and retirements come just before summer. Sometimes we know in the spring, sometimes we don't. But we pretty much have one time a year within a window where we know who's going to be leaving us and how many positions we have to fill. As David will explain in a few minutes, classified is year-round, and it's much more challenging. So we had 44 retirements, 29 resignations. We hired 59 new people, and staff on leave were 39. And so that's why the difference between the 70 that Jay explained earlier, we have some staff that are temporary that came on to fill some of those people on leave. These are the positions that we have currently still open as of a few days ago. We also have a, I have it up there? Yeah, a math position in junior high also that came up just recently for some unforeseen circumstances. So we're pretty well staffed. We have those positions are open, and we're moving toward interviews here shortly. So we're pretty well staffed as far as certificated. I will add that if you went back 4 or 5 years ago, we would have dozens and dozens and dozens of applicants for each position. That's not true anymore. So we are feeling the effects here in Chico, certainly with our certificated staff. We have maybe a handful of applicants for any given position. And sometimes we're just taking those staff from other districts that are around us, and then they have the same problems filling their staffs fully. So sometimes that's not the best way to do that, when we hope that everybody in our county have adequate people to draw from. But it's difficult. There are a lot of factors for that. We have a lot of retirements, people moving out of the area. You saw that's probably an abnormally high number of resignations, not so much on the retirement side. So we are filling those. And on top of that, we moved to block schedule in the last couple of years, first at Chico High and then at PV High School, and we added a total of 30 additional secondary teachers. So not just filling old positions where people left, we had to hire for new positions too. But we're pretty well staffed. These are the new administrators this year. We've introduced a lot of those folks.
Can I ask one question about the data on the previous slide?
Yeah.
The certificated positions that are not filled right now, are those being filled by subs, or are those just hanging out open?
No, they're subs right now, and that's why we want to move as quickly as we can. Like the preschool position just resigned, so that's fairly new. The math position at Fairview just opened up. I mean, so there's some things that are like within days. So we haven't had, and don't plan to have subs in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've opened up, and we already have applicants for those positions, and we'll be setting up interviews quickly here.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
I have back one more slide. Just because I'm a little confused on the math. So there was 59 new hires, but there was more than 59 plus those numbers of vacancies. So I'm just curious about the numbers not matching up necessarily.
So on leave, I hope if I'm answering your question, on leave, that kind of throws it. We may have people on leave for a month, so we can't get somebody in there that's properly credentialed, so we may have a long-term sub in there. But on some of those, we know they're out for a semester or the full year for different reasons, typically medical. And then we have to hire temporary staff. So they actually sign a contract and we hire them. So I don't count the subs, the long-term subs as hires, because they are really short-term.
Gotcha.
Relatively.
So there's 73 retirements and resignations, but 59 new hires and subs.
Right. And in elementary, we didn't replace all those positions, so people left, and because we had extra positions for class size reduction at elementary, we want to, next year the funding runs out, so we want to kind of glide into getting back to regular staffing levels at elementary, so we didn't replace all of those folks either.
Okay.
So the math doesn't quite jive, but it works out in the classrooms. Any other questions on certificated before I turn it over to David? Anytime? Yeah, I just wanted to get the names up there. We had introduced the principals and assistant principals earlier, but these are the new folks just in administration. So,
well, good evening. Again, these are the different classified positions. Actually, this lists about a dozen or so. There are actually 74 different classifications and seniority lists within the classified service. So this just lists the larger classifications. So when you look at retirements, it's quite a bit different from what happens in classified versus certificated. We have classified retirements throughout the year. There is no date set that people come to an end. Same thing with resignations. A lot of our positions are partial positions, so we have resignations throughout the year. We have a lot of students that leave us. We have a lot of resignations from parent restricted, where people work in the classroom, but when their student leaves the classroom, they have to resign. And so we'll see a lot of changes. The new hires are just what's happened since July 1. So since July 1, we've hired 30 new employees. But when we start looking at IPs and some of the challenges we have, it kind of comes back to that new hire, and I'll touch on that a little bit. Staff on leave is 35. So the challenges we have in a structural paraprofessional, we have about 81 positions that we haven't filled yet. And if you go back to July 1st, we had 61 positions filled. We have done 7 recruitments since July 1. We hired 120 total employees over the school year, or since summer. 90 of those were in special ed, but because of new positions, resignations, people leaving and going to different positions, we've actually are now at 81. What happens in the IP world is that some of our positions are less than 6 hours. So you may have a position that is a 2-hour position and a 3-hour. Someone vacates that to go to a 6-hour, and now we have 2 open positions when we just had 1. And so we're constantly, with our order of office with the contract, having to go out and ask our employees first, by contract, if they have an interest in the position, if they have a seniority right to it, they're automatically placed into it. So the other positions, when we look at the cafeteria assistant and the campus supervisor, good example is campus supervisor, we have 10 open positions, but it's only an FTE of 2. So we have a tremendous amount of 2-hour positions, 3-hour, 1.5, and so those add up. And so when you start looking, that's where you saw that 1,100, I think it was 1,140 positions, something to that effect, when we only have 711 employees.
I have questions. Can you go back to the last slide, please?
Sure.
So how many of these, or all of these, are partial FTEs?
When you look at all of those positions, maybe other than the campus supervisor, there may be 1 in that group. I don't believe there is. Right now, that number 10 I checked before I left is at 8. We'll fill 2 this Friday. None of those are full-time 7.5-hour, 8-hour positions on that list.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that that's probably what's attributing to such a high number of vacancies, is that they're all part-time and very low part-time at that?
Well, part of the issue, cafeteria assistant's a great example. We only feed kids in the morning and we feed them at lunch. And so to have them work a full day, we aren't there for 8 hours. So we have these short-term positions to feed people in the morning and in the afternoon. The other problem that's happened is when you start looking at campus supervisor and cafeteria assistant, the delta we used to have with minimum wage has gone up from $10 to $15 very, very quickly. We used to be about 13 when it was 10, and as it goes up, our delta is 43 cents. So our lowest level positions, when you get to campus supervisor and cafeteria assistant, are $15.43. With the minimum wage increase January 1, we'll be below minimum wage in those positions. But what's not built into that is the benefit factor. When we look at those lower level positions, we have to include about 50% of the hourly rate in benefits. And so we look at it and say, how much does that position cost the district? It's much, much higher than what we're posting. Doesn't help the employee working, I do understand that, and that is an issue.
Right, I'm just kind of curious about what kind of creative thinking there is going into, or out-of-the-box thinking there is going into getting these positions filled. Because obviously, what has worked in the past is not working anymore. We're in a much different type of employer-employee environment these days as a whole society.
So in a lot of our positions and within CSA, you can hold combined positions. So you could have a campus supervisor position, you can have a cafeteria assistant, and you can build up to different hours, and that's a different change. And so people are able to do that. The big thing when you look at IPs, particularly when you go back, say, 15 years ago, we had about 225 positions in position control for IP. Today, we have over 407. And so that has kind of exploded over the last couple of years. It's become more difficult to fill those as we go. We offer a lot more training. We've increased those hours. In most of those positions, they're getting closer to 6 hours, the full school day. And so we're having better luck filling those now. But we have right now on our eligibility list almost 40 people that have signed up, said I'd like to be an IP. We have another recruitment that opens up next week, and so as one opens, we close. I believe we opened 21 last year. And so I think there is an opportunity for us to catch it finally, but it is difficult, particularly in this environment.
I have a lot more questions and things, but I feel like this is like a brainstorming session that needs to happen, or I don't know.
Caitlin, we could set up a time where the three of us can meet and answer questions and go, through it if you'd like to set that up.
Okay, thank you.
And anyone else is welcome. This is a challenging area for us. We're constantly playing catch up with jobs just for those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And students aren't in school 8 hours. So to create an 8-hour job when we don't have a need for it is a conflict with fiscal, responsibility. So, and that's the tug of war that we're dealing with in some of these positions. So.
All right. So,
Thank you.
Oh,
Sure, yeah.
Diane?
Since May, we've done 4 rounds of hiring for IPs. The first 2 rounds was a lot of movement, like David was talking before, people leaving positions for 4 or 5 hours to our 6 and 6.5 hour positions. The last 2 rounds, including one that I did today, I interviewed 16 people today. I'm going to be offering 15 of those people positions. Not one of them is leaving another position. They're all from the outside. So we are seeing a change. The last round was similar to that. There were only like 3 that were leaving positions. So we are coming around the corner on that. And this is one of the best pools I've had for interviews. We're getting a lot of these people that are in preschools, in public and private preschools. And because their numbers are so low, they're looking for new opportunities. And so these people with experience are coming to us now. So it was a really good pool. So we are turning the corner, I believe, based on the increased rate that we've done. And just every time we do an interview pool, they open it right back up. So I can just keep on going through them.
Thanks for sharing that.
All right. This was informational. I really appreciate that. So now we have a request by Hanlon. This is you again, right? You just
Yes.
thought you'd run away. Okay.
Let me just, okay, so this is a variable turn waiver. And so we hired a new social worker counselor who is working on her credential. And it's just another one of those situations where they do not offer internships for social worker counselors. So we have to do a 1-year waiver in order for her to complete her credential work while she's completing those classes and working on those hours that she has to put in actual practice. So I brought one last time for a variable term waiver, and this is a new person that we recently hired. There just is no one out there with a clear credential. So these are folks that have a social worker license and can go back and fairly easily get the credential, but they then have to put in those hours, and that usually takes the full year.
All right. Okay, any questions or discussion?
I do, just because I want to make sure I'm reading the attached documentation correctly. In the attachment, the paperwork, it says that there's a question about how many individuals credentialed in the authorization were interviewed. So is that not saying that 6 people who've held the credential already? And I am definitely not casting aspersion on your hiring choice. I like this
Yeah,
particular choice. But
where are you at?
I'm looking at page 3. Under C, it says how many individuals credentialed in the authorization of the waiver request were interviewed. So that makes it look as though 6 people who had who held the PPS credential were interviewed for the position.
Oh, I see it.
The numbers don't add up there. I'd have to check into that and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. I will find out and then let the whole board know.
Okay. But we need to move forward with this, correct, for her?
Yes, I do need approval so that we can then apply to CTC for the clearance.
Okay.
Will CTC question the numbers on the document if just?
Not with board approval, no. And I don't know the particulars. There may have been an applicant or applicants that did not pass the background check. I just don't know what the particulars were on this.
Right. Yeah, the numbers don't add up.
Could have been wrong credentials, not an appropriate credential, and then we would have been in the same position. So I just I'll have to look into that and see what the particulars were on that.
Yeah, those numbers don't add up.
Can you send that clarification as soon as you get it, though, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can send it tomorrow morning.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you, Tom, for catching that. Any further discussion? All right. May I have a motion then?
I'd like to move the approval.
Okay, Tom?
I'll second that motion.
Eileen seconds. All right, again, this can be a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. All right, and then we'll get a clarification hopefully by tomorrow.
Yep.
So, any items from the floor?
We have no speaker, no additional
Okay.
speaker card.
No speakers, all right. Is there a board member who requests to agendize an item? All right, seeing none, then move to adjourn. I thank you all.
Hmm.